Welcome to The Explainer. So, made in Italy. What does that phrase really mean today in the 21st century? We're going to dive into the data and find out the story behind the brand.
Okay, take a look at this. This is pane cunzato. And believe me, it's not just any bread. We're talking about a massive 5-kilogram loaf from a small bakery in Sicily that just snagged Italy's most prestigious baking award. I mean, just look at that deep, dark crust. That amazing color comes from sun-dried tomatoes and those incredible nocellara olives.
So you might be thinking, what can a single loaf of bread possibly teach us about a major global economy? Well, it turns out a whole lot. The story of its bakers, one was a railroad worker, the other a political science grad, who completely reinvented their lives for the love of sourdough. It's basically the whole Italian story of passion and adaptation in miniature.
Yeah, this is really a story in a loaf. It's all about that passion, about reinvention, and how the excellence of just a couple of individuals can lay the groundwork for something so much bigger.
For the bakers, Antonio and Michela, their bakery, Frangipan, is all about sharing and community. You know, those are values that are just baked right into the whole Made in Italy ethos. So, let's see how that ethos actually translates into some hard numbers. All right, let's zoom out from that one loaf. How does this tradition of quality and passion turn into, massive economic power? Let's get into the numbers.
Okay, first number for you. 251 billion euros. That is the global value of Italian food service just for this year. To put that into perspective for you, that means that nearly 1/5 of all the money spent in full-service restaurants around the entire world goes to Italian food.
Wow. And it's growing. 70.5 billion euros. That's the value of Italy's agro-food exports just last year. That's up a solid 7.5% from the year before, which tells you the world's appetite for the real deal is only getting bigger.
Now this number, 887, this isn't about money. This is all about quality. Italy has 887 certified food products that have a protected status. We're talking Parmigiano Reggiano, prosciutto. It's basically a testament to the country's incredibly deep regional specialties.
But, where there's huge success, there are always going to be huge challenges. Take extra virgin olive oil. It's a symbol of Italian food culture, right? Well, it's also its most counterfeited product. And the fraud is a massive problem that threatens producer livelihoods and, of course, consumer trust. So what do? How do you fight back? With innovation. Producers are now using blockchain. You can think of it as a super secure digital ledger to guarantee authenticity, all the way from the olive grove to the bottle. And what's really interesting is that the data shows consumers are absolutely willing to pay more for that verified trust. Okay, so this blend of tradition and innovation, it isn't just happening in the food world. It's actually the engine that's driving growth across other iconic Italian industries too.
In design, Italy is the leader in Europe, no question. It commands nearly 20% of the market in both revenue and employment. But, and you can see it here, the competition from France and Germany is heating up. And it points to a classic Italian challenge, a lot of smaller firms that need to find ways to scale up and compete on a bigger stage.
And you can't talk about Italian engineering without talking about this little guy, the Fiat 600. It's actually celebrating 70 years in 2025. This wasn't just a car. It was a masterpiece of affordable engineering that put an entire nation on wheels and became a symbol of its post-war recovery. And that same engineering prowess makes Italy a giant in the specialized sports industry. As this chart shows, it's a top 5 global exporter, holding the number 2 spot for hunting and fishing equipment and number 3 in the entire world for winter sports gear. But here's the thing, Made in Italy is not just about the past. Some of its most significant contributions are happening right now, at the very cutting edge of science and technology. Yeah, you heard that right. Far from the rolling hills of Tuscany, Italy, is taking the lead role in humanity's return to the moon. The aerospace firm Thales Alenia Space is building the very first permanent lunar outpost for NASA's Artemis program.
And back here on Earth, an Italian company has built the largest adaptive mirror ever made for the extremely large telescope in Chile. Think of it as a smart mirror that can reshape itself thousands of times per second to cancel out atmospheric distortion, giving us the clearest possible view of the cosmos we've ever had. And while no one was really looking, the pharmaceutical sector has quietly become an export titan.
In just 25 years, it has more than doubled its share of total exports, rivaling traditional industries and showing a really powerful pivot towards high-tech manufacturing. So, what does this all add up to? When we put all these pieces together, the bread, the cars, the spaceships, we see a complex, adapting, and surprisingly powerful economic story. Over the last 25 years, the geography of Italian exports has really shifted. I mean, Europe is still the main destination, you can see that, but Italy has diversified in a big way. The United States is now its single largest and most crucial market outside of the EU. Now, this table is really interesting because it shows the change in what Italy sells. While machinery is still king, look at how pharmaceuticals and food have just surged. At the same time, traditional sectors like textiles have seen their share decline. It really paints a clear picture of a modernizing economy. But this story is one of sharp contrasts. On one hand, you've got incredible momentum in these innovative sectors, but on the other, there's a challenging economic imbalance that just won't go away, with the north and central regions pulling ahead while the south struggles to keep pace. So, we started with a loaf of bread, and we ended at a lunar outpost. The real story behind the Made in Italy brand is one of constant evolution. The key takeaway from all this data isn't about choosing between heritage and high tech. It's about how skillfully Italy continues to blend its deep cultural roots with bold, boundary-pushing innovation. That blend, that's what's going to define its future.